Yo, what's good? Here's how I've helped one of my clients, Kayla's coaching program, projecting around 860K per year with webinars, call funnels, and sales team. Here's a full breakdown. But before I make all these, number claims and anything, proof is the most important. I would like to back myself with proof. My client was doing 18K pounds before working with me per month. And then as soon as we started working together, we dialed in on his ads, on his offers, on the call funnels, on the webinars, and the sales team, of course. And he made around 130K pounds in 60 days. On average, that's about like 86K USD per month, hence 860K per year with webinars. Although we want to get to a million with his business by running ads and making sure we can scale entirely his coaching program. Now, why webinars, call funnels, and everything together? Bro, why not? Everybody is running webinars in 2026, but you need to ask this question to yourself. Why are they actually running webinars? The thing is, the state of info right now is so low that you want to actually nurture them on a live event or evergreen if you're so good at it. You want to make sure that you actually give free value on the event itself so that they can actually buy from you, because everybody is selling courses, everybody is selling mentorships, everybody is selling programs. Now they want to buy from someone they can actually trust. Isn't that the main reason, bro? Info is actually dying in terms of the trust levels, bro. You see TJR, you see big people in the space, getting exposed for, selling skills that they do not even fully have expertise over. So you want to make sure trust is the most important value that you prioritize when you're actually selling a program, because nobody is going to buy a program just watching a 10-minute YouTube video. 50 have changed. Things are not same like how it was in 2022, 2023 than how it is right now in 2026. The trust levels are steeping to the lowest right now. It's so low, nobody's going to buy. Like, everybody's offering the same thing. Now, that's why you want to be unique. You want to also be giving free value. You want to make sure that the nurturing system is so dialed in such a way that you can actually sell your coaching program to millions and millions. And these people right now, Iman, Shelby, Caleb Nallis, Brooke Hidding, and Pace, and as well as, TikTok with, bro, they're making big money, 7-figure months. I'm talking 7-figure months with their coaching program, because they are dialing in and they're making sure they go all in with their specific webinar funnels. And this actually gives them the most authority and highest authority of everybody here to make sure that they actually sell their program. Reasons why, creators actually have a plateau with their coaching programs, it's either paid ads or organic marketing. Why I would say paid ads is because they probably don't know what they're doing. They're just running, ads. They're burning their ad spend. They're not getting good quality leads. They do not have a proper nurture sequence in place. They just keep losing money, because even if they actually make money, right, the disputes come in and they have to refund back, and then the entire work to actually make sure that this program scales is wasted, and even time is wasted in this aspect. Now, why does this not work? Now, people wouldn't just simply buy if you just run paid ads to a call funnel and then they just book a call, because they haven't been nurtured by you. They don't know you entirely. They don't believe in the process. They don't believe in the vehicle that actually gets them to their goals and everything, right? You want to be making sure that you dial this thing and you have like a proper nurture sequence. Yes, you can have this done even if like setter sends like a video or like resources just to make sure that things are dialed in. But you can always do better with something that I'm going to be breaking down in the next a few minutes. And that's why I would say like paid ads is like a hit or miss. It's not necessarily something that you can have dialed in. But I'm not saying paid ads do not work. Yes, it can work, but with the current state of info and everything, I do believe there should be more just to having paid ads just to a call funnel, or like content retargeting maybe. Now, the other problem is everybody suffers with organic marketing. What they do is they just completely rely on organic traffic and the algorithm. Now, with algorithm, yes, you can make 10K, 20K, 30K. You can validate your offer. You can actually have a belief of, selling to the right people, and your ICP and everything. That's all good. But the thing is, when you hit 100K, how many months can you actually guarantee you can hit 100K back to back? Like, can you do it for 6 months straight? Can you do it for 10 months straight? Now, the reason that you cannot just rely on organic marketing is because the algorithm keeps changing. You cannot consistently guarantee yourself. You cannot have like a predictable, mentorship thing where you're actually collecting money, because organic marketing is not that simple. Sometimes you're gonna do more content, sometimes you're just burnt out, you do not do content, you do not have leads in pipeline, you do not have good quality views, or you're not attracting the right people. Algorithm is actually messing you up with right now. And then what happens is, when you're making 100K and suddenly you just drop to 70K, now you might be wondering if it's a system problem or if it's anything. If it's only one thing, it's the algorithm problem. You cannot control that. And if that's something that you cannot control, you can never scale to bigger months, like 200K, 500K, 800K per month. Now that's only when you can have complete control over your income and the amount of money that you're making, correlated to the amount of inputs that you're actually doing. Now, what is the actual solution to these problems? Now, you want to combine both at a very good level. Yes, you should be having organic marketing. I'm not saying no, but you shouldn't just rely on organic marketing. You want to make sure you have a warm audience. You also want to make sure that you hit a lot of cold audience and you warm up through something called as the webinar funnel. Now what you do is, you have a webinar in place, you make sure that people join the webinar, they get nurtured on the webinar, and when you book calls on the webinar, they are more likely to pay, because now they believe in you, they believe in the mechanism that you teach, they believe in the processes that can actually get to their goals. Now what happens is, the show up rates of the call increase, the close rates of the call increase, and you also have complete control over paid ads and your creators, and how much you want to spend, how much you want to attract, how many, like everything you have control over. Yes, it requires iterations. Everything requires iterations. Any business, if you want to do big numbers, you want to consistently iterate, and the speed to iteration is the most important thing. Now, let me just quickly break down the system of what exactly I'm going to be talking about. Obviously, there's a lot of sauce here, but let me just quickly explain what these two pillars are. Now, you want to do the combinations of webinars, call funnels, and paid ads as well, with a proper dial-in sales team. Now, you have the paid ads thing. You run it directly to the webinar. You have the opt-in page. You have like a small VIP upsell. Even Iman Gaji, he runs this. He does like a $27 upsell. You can do anywhere between $27 to 97, and then you have the pre-webinar reminders, nurture sequences, emails, SMS, and on the webinar, the complete nurturing is done by the creator themselves, promoting his strategies, making sure that they nurture with his questions, he answers questions, he makes sure that everybody gets sauce. And after the webinar is ended has ended, obviously you have no shows, you have people who leave early, and you also have people who have seen the pitch. You want to have proper strategies to specific segments of these people, so that you can actually make the most out of them. And then you have retargeting ads to make sure that they're all coming back to the same call funnel, and you book in more highly qualified calls. Now you want to make sure that these people are specifically nurtured, and there's proper systems for that, so that you can actually make sure that you get good quality calls. And the goal of getting qualified calls is because you want to make sure they're pre-sold on the mechanism and on the person, on the vehicle themselves, before actually hopping on the call, so that it makes things easier to close on the call. You will have better show rates, because now they truly believe that this process will actually help them to their goals, or to whatever they want to achieve in life and everything. And obviously you want to have a dialed in sales team. You want to have a setter that's working all day. You want to have closers that are hopping on every single call, having close rates high. They want to reiterate themselves, they want to keep training themselves and everything. So this is like the entire, basically, when you're running ads, there's something called as the campaign budget optimization, with three ad sets that you can do, like broad, lookalike, and interest tag. Now, campaign budget optimization, for those who do not know anything, you have like a certain budget, but you want to allocate separate budgets to separate campaigns, like 70, 20, 10, or something like that. Now, you want to have 70% of your budget going to the webinar and 30% to the call funnel. This is going to be used for people calls, and that is going to be used for this specific segment. No shows left early, and then they saw the pitch, but they never booked a call. Now, the second step is, obviously you have the webinar. You run 4 webinars per month. You run 3 to cold traffic, and you actually run 1 exclusively to the warm audience. Now, you want to understand, it's going to be acting as an indirect cold traffic to make sure that you convert them into your warm audience. Eventually, you also grow your followers, you also grow your reach. This is something that can indirectly make sure that you grow across all platforms, and eventually everybody becomes part of your ecosystem entirely. Now, you redirect them to an opt-in page. You don't have to necessarily have like a VSL. You can have like an opt-in page collecting their full name, email, and a number, obviously with a specific registration, big registration CTA, where you click and they just simply register. But once they register, obviously you want to have like emails in place and everything. But after they finish registering, you want to also have a potential VIP upsell. They can hit like a $27 upsell, or like you can have this upsell anywhere between $27 to $97. You can offer like a group call, exclusive implementation call of some sort of, resource that you're providing with them. The reason we are doing this VIP upsell is because you want to train Meta to optimize for people who are purchasing and not just registering, and this will filter buyers just from wanting freebies and stuff, bro. You are actually getting buyers here by actually making sure you're selling a very low ticket product before the webinar itself. Now, pre-webinar, you want to be sending them high value emails. You want to be sending them email reminders, SMS reminders. You want to be making sure that they're added to a WhatsApp group or Telegram group. You answer FAQs, what they're going to be talking about on the webinar, what they're going to be doing about the webinar. You can show case studies. You can have all these case studies on the opt-in page itself. And as soon as you get to the webinar day, obviously it's going to be like 45 minutes to 1 hour max. The reason is because you want to read them. You don't want to be talking too much and then lose retention over time. You want to check these three boxes, that they're going through the right vehicle, they can do it themselves, and you are the right person to learn from, because this is the one aspect that they can actually trust on, and they can buy anything from you. And as soon as you have this dialed in, and as soon as you have this nurturing process dialed in, it's gonna be so easy to make money, because now they trust you so much that they can actually buy anything from you. And you have the pitch to actually book a call, and then you send them to the landing page where they can book a call with the VSL and nothing. Obviously, they can book a call directly and get high qualified book calls, that too well nurtured, because they have already consumed 45 minutes to 1 hour, where you have handled all their objections before, all their specific necessary questions. You have answered everything. You have taught them something in specific that can actually make sure they actually believe you more than anybody else. Now, this is what gets more interesting. Post webinar is where, let's say like you have 300 people that registered, but you only had like 150, and then you booked some calls, highly qualified calls. But what happens to the rest of the people who do not show up? You can segment them into like different categories. Obviously, some of them, they never showed up. Some of them left early at the very beginning. Some of them, they actually saw the pitch, but they never booked in a call. Now, for the people who never showed up, you want to be sending them a replay of the entire program. Obviously, you can just directly cut straight to the value. You can edit the value of the webinar and then directly pitch to them. And then for the ones, obviously, who left early, you can directly just send the pitch to them. And the ones who saw the pitch, you can retarget them to the VSL itself. That's why the meta retargeting thing is very important, because you want to retarget them to specific content assets, so that they actually land to the booking page and they eventually book a call. And the thing is, we do not have to worry about them not being nurtured, because they have already been nurtured on the webinar. If not, even after they book a call, the setter is gonna do his thing. I will tell you what he's gonna be doing. That you know you will have all these people booking in calls, and you have closers taking calls, you have setters doing their thing. Setters, they call within 5 minutes, they make sure that they show up to the call, they send them pre-call assets, they send them resources on top of the webinar nurture. Now, what does this indicate, bro? This is gonna be full nurturing process, when by the time when they hop on the call, they actually pre-sold on the mechanism and on the right vehicle and on the person that they trust, and they actually buy and they piff. This is why you need to have this nurture cycle. And just running VSL funnels, they do not have this big nurture cycle, and that's why it becomes harder for the closer to close on these calls. And it is very important to have reminders in place and everything. And as soon as you have all this done, the sales call happens. You make sure that the show up rate is high, 75% to 80%, and the close rate is above 35%. And you obviously kind of make sure you make that money. And that's how you kind of keep doing this and you repeatedly do this entire process unless you keep making big money around like 200k, 300k, 500k per month, and eventually, do big numbers like Shelby Eman doing millions and millions of money per month. And I hope this video actually gives you a clear cut idea on like what exactly you want to be doing to make sure that you can maximize the level of trust before they actually hop on the call so that you can actually sell your program. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard in 2026 given the current state of trust and everybody getting exposed for something that they are not doing at all. And this is not going to be good if you also do the same thing like them, just running same old VSL funnels. If you're a coach, consultant, or anybody who has an info product but requires systems to scale, and if you need help with setting up all these systems, DM me Scale on IG. I'll link in the description, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.